Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, what we fight for here in Declare Independence with me, Ernest Hancock. And my good Independence declaring kind of gaff friend, Glenn Jacobs, Citizen X. Now, one thing I'm showing now is a headline of a story: corn prices to soar as Chinese imports increase 9-fold over projections. China is like, the 1,600-pound gorilla. And you have, a quarter of the planet's population or more, sitting there going, hello, we'd like some of your corn, please. And, oh, by the way, we got the resources to get it. What does that mean to prices?
That means it's going to go higher. I listened to your interview the other day with the professor from Kent State University about Egypt, and I thought it was very good. But unfortunately, like a lot of people, I don't think he's connecting all the dots. And as you brought up the issue of food, he wasn't getting what you were saying.
He didn't care.
Well, the military can control the food. They own the food distribution system. Well, who cares? They still have to get the food from somewhere. That's what a lot of folks, even the folks, the drill here, drill now folks, aren't getting about oil. We're talking about a world market where people from all over the world are competing for these commodities, and that's what drives the price. As more dollars flow out into the system, people, and as I said before, what's happening is a lot of those dollars are going overseas where they can get a higher return. So those people overseas now have more dollars. So they have more dollars to buy whatever, corn, wheat, oil. There's more dollars competing for the same amount, or in some cases, a lower amount of goods and services. What does that do to the price? It drives it up. And as you said, in the third world now, especially in China and to some extent in India, you have literally billions of people who would like to have a better standard of living. They'd like to have more protein in their diet. They'd like to drive a car. And that's going to put more stress on commodities from the demand side. And meanwhile, we have the Fed just printing money like crazy. So that's why a lot of the reason that you're seeing spikes in the price of commodities. Now, according to Ben Bernanke, the QE2, the inflation, monetary inflation, has nothing to do with the price of food. And can we back up for just a second, Ernie? Let's define our terms here. A lot of times we use the term inflation as indicating price increases, and that's not really what inflation means. Inflation means an increase in the money supply. Price increases can be caused by a number of things: supply and demand pressure, consumer preference, all sorts of things. So now when most people use the term inflation, though, they're talking about price increases. And that's not what inflation is. That's price inflation. It's something different. If you have the same, if your income, let's, for the sake of simplicity, say that every month it balances out. Okay, you have zero left over. And that's what happens in real life, too. When people have a surplus in their income, they generally keep it in savings and in currency on hand. What happens then if, say, your food bill goes up, but the money coming in stays the same? We're going to have less money to spend on other things, right? So the price level is going to balance out, the general price level. One thing that can affect that can make the price level go up is, as we talked about before, the velocity of money, the fact that people want stuff more than they want their money on hand. That's not happening right now. What's happening right now is the velocity of money has actually dropped. So the only thing that can explain a rise in prices across the board is an increase in the supply of money. And that's a very important distinction, and one that the mainstream media is completely lost on now.
Yesterday we had a Super Bowl party, and we were over there and we're hanging. A lot of times, you have a function like that, a social function. What happens is you'll get, the guys like us and the people that are, kind of getting it and everything. We're just there to watch football, but they bring their spouses or their girlfriend, boyfriends and friends and, whatever, and children and such that are kind of, yeah, I hear this at home all the time. And of course, you get into conversations halftime or after the game or even during, and you'll get a different perspective. You're never a prophet in your own land, but when you got somebody else telling, your spouse and stuff this from a different perspective, all of a sudden the lights go on and they start to get it. Well, one of the conversations was Barry Hess was on, Barry. And
oh yeah, I know Barry.
and Barry was going on about this one story he had with this one guy, and he said, he goes, well, what causes these increases in prices? And the guy goes, inflation. And he goes, well,
right.
What causes inflation? Well, increases in price. I mean, it's inflation. They have no concept of what's going on.
It's just circular logic. Yeah,
right.
You hear that in the mainstream media all the time. You hear the price of oil is driving inflation. Well, where do the people get the money so that they can pay more for oil if they're paying more for other stuff too? That doesn't make any sense. The only way it can happen is if the amount of money out there is increasing.
And it's logical. I turn on CNBC every now and then just for entertainment. I mean, just to see what the heck it is they're slinging today. And I flip it on, and they're today they are ecstatic that the stock market is up over 12,000. I mean, they're just going, and I'm going, one, that's not going to be for ever, but even if it does, what is just the value of the actual dollar since 2008? What is the real value of the stock market after you incorporate inflation? I'm going. This is they don't want you to understand. Oh, I got to tell you this. Last night, Jack Gregson puts up a lot of stuff on the economy. I mean, he's just really a great. Of course, he's not a prophet in his own land. His daughter and his wife came. Well, his daughter is a school teacher, so she really doesn't want to hear about this stuff. And the one thing I figured what I get her attention with, and I really got her attention was I go. The slogan for Freedom's Phoenix is uncovering the secrets, exposing the lies. And I go, who do you teach to? Well, young children, 5 to 7 year olds. I mean, she's kindergarten, first, second grade, these little kids. And I go, did you know that there are private space stations in orbit right now? Did you know that? What? So I take her on the computer and go to Space Travel and Exploration and show her the entire privatization of space. And I go, Rocket Racing League and Spaceship Two and all of the. Of course, they know who Richard Branson. CNBC has a biography, 2 hours on Richard Branson. They get through all of his stuff, how he built Virgin Airlines, how he did Virgin Records, how he's in the mobile communications thing, how he's and then they get right up to Spaceship Two. Didn't say a word, and I'm going, what the heck? I go, do you think these young children would be inspired? They keep saying we need more, math and science majors and all this other stuff. You think that this space thing might have something to inspire them a little bit? I go, why are they not making this front page news? Why is it that the public school system doesn't use this to inspire kids? Why do you think that is? And it was just, kind of a light went off, and you're starting to see maybe you're not getting everything. And then I go, and your husband has been the one that has been bringing so much available to so many people from a perspective of, and that's where I got to disagree with you, man. I'm like, yeah, it is math. It's really pretty simple, So I'm looking at a lot of these things, but I want some kind of, is there hope for the future of the studying and the paying attention that you do? Are you kind of like going, humanity marches on somewhere? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I definitely do. I'm very hopeful for the long term. The short term is another story. I generally agree with you that the thing to do now is survive what's coming. I don't know exactly what's coming. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I know that we're going to undergo a radical paradigm shift. That's just the way it is. Like you said, that's what the math is telling you. I mean, you just can't. The spending and the debt and all those things are completely unsustainable. So in the long term, I do. In the short term, I think it's going to be pretty rough.
Well, when we come back here on Declare Your Independence, Glenn and I, we've been talking in the past about how we're preparing. What are we going to do? And what are we preparing for? And are one state have an advantage over another? Well, Glenn travels a lot. Oh, yeah. He's got to give us his update on his TSA. Is his package getting squeezed? We're going to find out here on Declare Your Independence when we come back in just a little bit with Citizen X, our good friend Glenn Jacobs here on Declare Your Independence in just a little bit here from Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, yeah. And it's a very nice today. It's very nice. We'll be right back. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.